It is Tuesday. Sorry we are a little bit late. Where are you at, bro? Are you in Chicago still?
Yeah, dude, I'm Chicago. But the reason why we're late is because we're operators and we operate our own businesses. So yeah, go
Yo, it's a
figure. When you actually do the
grind. It's a
business, right?
grind. Oh man.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Today we want to do something a little more tactical for listeners. I know a lot of people have been getting um, information about like philosophy, business, and all that stuff, but we want to talk about something more important, right? How to track your marketing and how it's so important. And I'm going to show you how we've been tracking our stuff. So hopefully you can take this, implement it in your own business. And remember, this could be applicable to multiple businesses, not just beyond real estate. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
let's do it.
what's KPIs, Phil? What is that?
Key performance indicators. It basically
Whoa.
tells you what you're sucking at and what you're doing good at, and just gives you a pulse of your business if you are managing it from afar, or if you're just have multiple businesses that you want to run and turn things up, turn things down, any which way you guys want. So it's a really good like dashboard of some sorts of understanding where your business is at and a snapshot of time.
100%. Dude,
Yeah,
that was the pitch right there.
that's the
Okay.
pitch, bro.
So, let's kind of talk about KPIs. So, I want to show you some cold call metrics, right? So that's what most people are doing right now is when you're first starting on wholesale is probably cold call metrics. So I want to have your mind split into two different buckets. One bucket will be a marketing bucket. So you have your marketing KPIs and then you have to have your sales KPIs. So with marketing, if you're talking about cold calling, so this was last week. So this is our last week's metrics for our cold callers. So we have a new wholesaler or new acquisition rep that just joined. So she just started on the 28th, and then we have another guy that's been doing it for a while. So you can see directly how many dials that our guys are making. So we made a total of 4,300 dials, right, in a week. And this is each individual dial. This is like you counting your single dial, double dial, triple dial. It's counting every single one. And then also, as you can see, we track any conversation that lasts longer than a minute. And I want you guys to understand that. So this is very important for your sales KPIs, which I'll show you. But for us, any conversation is anything over 1 minute. And you can see that we track this. So we had 37 conversations over 1 minute. And then the second thing that we look at, so I'll show you our sales KPI here. We also track quality conversations, right? So quality conversations is something where a seller has expressed interest in selling their property. Okay, and we want to make sure that our numbers are accurate. So what we do is since our dials count every triple dial, so every time you call someone that's 3 dials, so we know that that data is a little skewed. So how we track it is how many leads that we've called. So
Mm-hmm.
Julius has called 380 leads last week, and he had
Nice,
29 conversations over 1 minute. So that just shows that
nice.
he's talked to 29 real people. And then based off this number here, so let's say we add a column, and I don't want to screw this up. So let's say he had 5 quality conversations. So
We
that
can't even see what
means,
you're typing, bro.
oh, you can? Oh, hold on.
Nah, we only see the reports.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
dude.
let's say he had 6 quality conversations, right? So let's say he had 29 conversations over 1 minute, and he's had one
There we go.
quality conversation. So that is really
Yeah.
bad, and it shows that right here, the math equation shows that every 29 conversations over 1 minute develops one quality conversation. So that's really bad data, right? Our goal is to have every 3 conversations, you should have one quality conversation. And quality is anyone that expresses interest. So for Julius, he did 6. So 6 quality conversations. So that just shows right here that every about 5 conversations he has is about one person saying that they're interested. So for us, that is above the line of 3. So what does that tell me from a sales perspective? So if he's doing 4.8 conversation equals one quality, it could be a sales problem, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
number tells me I'm over the limit. So now I need to go into his recordings and listen as a sales manager to see if any leads that he's talked to was actually a viable lead that I can, as a sales manager, revive. And if you're looking at this from a business perspective, let's say if I did not read or listen to his phone calls and I never followed up with his old leads, I'm losing $10,000 per deal because we average about 10K per assignment. So
Mm-hmm.
if I lose one lead a week, that could be about 40 grand of profit that I'm leaving on the table because I don't know if he has the right scale skills or not. Does that kind of make sense? Phil, am I explaining
Yeah,
that
dude.
like in a
Yeah, you're
simple
pretty good.
way?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
So
Yeah.
that's the big thing. So connection rate, right? If my connection rate, so I'm going to highlight this up here. So out of 380 leads, he's had 29 conversations beyond 1 minute, which equates to 7.6% connection rate. So real estate cold calling industry standards is usually around a 10% rate. So in my mind, this is actually pretty good. Like we've increased it from his last week. Last week was about 5%. So we're always tweaking what our dialers doing, what our phones are doing. We're making sure that we're reaching as many people as possible, right? From a sales perspective. So you got to track your sales side of how many conversations you're having, how many of those are quality, how many people are saying yes, because if your numbers are really bad, that just it shows a red flag in your business, right?
Yep.
So let's flip to a marketing side. So for a marketing perspective, let's go
Well,
to
let
your
me just
number.
stop you right there real quick. If you go back to
Yeah.
your sheet there. So, I mean, for example, I think a good point to be made here is that even if you track your numbers, and even though you want to, let's say you set it to where it's like perfect metrics, like every single time of the week or whatever, things can change, guys. Like TLO, not TLO, the phone companies can change their policies. They can change. Maybe they mark your phone as spam, and then you see your numbers go down, right? Or your pickup rates or your pickup time goes down, your talk time. Then you have like basically a before and after of like, okay, what happened between the shift, and then that way you can dial in your systems, because sometimes you might think like, oh, my company is running really well, and it's like I'm gonna set it and forget it. It's if it's not broken, don't fix it. But in business, there's always shifting, there's always regulations being pushed out and changing basically shit. And so if you're not dialed into your numbers, then you don't see where the break is happening, and then you'll begin to lose more money as time moves forward without you actually tracking your numbers. So this is like a very tactical way and very strategic way of either scaling even further too as well, because you know your numbers
100%.
in and out. Yeah.
What phone system do you use? We use Wave Dialer, and it's embedded with our Go High Level CRM. So we use Wave Dialer because it has all these metrics. But what Phil just said actually is perfect, right? Because if you look at in a marketing perspective, so obviously you have a sales portion that's tracking your conversations, your quality conversations, how many offers you made. That's all acquisitions KPIs. Now let's flip the switch to a marketing perspective, right? If your phone numbers are getting marked as spam, so it's what Phil was saying. Like if you look at
Mm-hmm.
our CRM here, it says carrier blocked. So one of our phone numbers, we did 3,400 dials and we had 67 of our calls blocked by the carrier. So T-Mobile, Verizon, all these different things, when you start getting into the like bushes of detail, like when you're cold calling as a brand new investor, you don't really care about the carrier. But we actually look at carrier information. So like if I know that Verizon has is like historically banning my phone numbers, I may not want to cold call them, right? Like that's just how I look at it. And if you look at the second phone number, so the second number is not was not spam protected until yesterday. So we just turned on the spam protection because we wanted to show our acquisition team how much of a difference it is. And this is a great learning point for everybody else. So phone number 1 made 3,400 dials and we were blocked 67 times. Okay? The phone number that wasn't spam protected only dialed 561 and was blocked 46 times.
Oh
So
wow.
if you just look at this number here, you can already tell that if you're not spam protected, you are putting yourself at a massive disadvantage compared to guys that are tracking this, right? So phone number two, like that is an insane amount of disconnects. Like there's only 20 more
Mm-hmm.
disconnects, and we're calling 3,000 more times than the second number. So basically, if you do spam protection on your phone and you register your phone number with your business, instead of when you call an iPhone and it doesn't say spam, it literally says TG Homes is calling you on an iPhone. Like if you're looking at it from a perspective of like spam, like everyone's just going to block your phone number, not even pick up, or the carrier's just going to flag you. Or would you rather have your phone number say, hey, Top Cap Homes is calling you, or Fast Easy Offers is calling you? Whatever your business is, like it will show up on an iPhone. So as technology improves, right? Everyone knows the iPhone came out with a new, or Apple came out with a new thing of screening your calls and also doing spam protection, right? All your text messages are going to spam, all your phone calls are getting spam. So how do you, these businesses, these power dialer companies are also trying to innovate to stay with the market. How are they helping investors? How are they helping cold call companies figure out how to not get spammed? And this is coming out with spam protection, right? You register your business, register your phone number, so you show up more. If you're not tracking this, bro, if I didn't track this, I would just keep dialing with this phone number, and my acquisition managers are gonna be like, "Yo, what the f? Like, I'm not having any
Yeah.
conversations." And as you can see, this was last week. So Emily had 8 conversations over 1 minute last week with the spam phone number. This week, let's go to this week so far. She's already had 8. It's only been 2 days. So there
That's a
is a
huge difference.
significant difference already
Yeah.
in just turning on spam protection. So you have to do this with all your different marketing channels, but I wanted to stress cold calling because I have literally live data that's going on right now in the last 2 weeks showing you how much of a difference it is, managing your cell phone numbers, managing spam protection, and then not over dialing with one phone, right? So usually what you want to do to instantly 80% fix your business right now overnight is if you have a phone number or you're cold calling, you want to prime your phone numbers. What do I mean by that? So before your guys are calling for 8 hours a day, or if you're about to call 4 hours, call someone you know and let the phone sit there for 3 minutes. That's telling the phone carriers in the world that you are a real person and you're not just spam calling, all day. You have one conversation on your phone that's 3 to 5 minutes, and it's telling the phone companies that you are a real person. Once your phone is primed, you're going to start power dialing. Every
Yeah.
time you hit 50 to 60 calls, change your phone number. Go to a different phone number so you're not calling thousands of people with one phone. You need to cycle your phone numbers. So that is called phone hygiene. So you'll hear me say hygiene a lot, like data hygiene, phone hygiene, email hygiene, all that stuff, is because you need to keep your stuff as healthy as possible, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
all your stuff is going to, if all your stuff is going to spam, are you going to make any money? The answer is no.
Yep.
Brian,
Exactly.
7 times more blocking. So I'm glad you can do the math because I couldn't do the math.
Yeah.
Joe Desai, what's up, brother? I like this data level. I'll need to see if my dialer has the same amount of dial or data. What kind of dialer are you using? So I want to hear it in the comments, like what type of data or what kind of
Yeah.
dialer you're using, because there's a handful of dialers out there that are really good. Like Ready Mode is a very prestigious, very well-known company. I just don't use it anymore because it's a little complicated for me, and also it's very expensive. But and we built our CRM to like match using Wave, so we have a ton of automations already built out where it's like moving leads for you based off what your dialer's
Mm-hmm.
doing. But Ready Mode is very reputable. Obviously, Batch Dialer exists, right? And
I
smartphone, I
use
don't like
smartphone.
using smartphone. Okay, I know if you're using smartphone, you're probably using Podio. I'm a betting man that you guys are using Podio. So I've used Podio as well. I don't like smartphone in terms of power dialing. I think if you are like calling at mass, smartphone is probably a very, actually I don't want to say it publicly, but it's not a preferred dialer for me if I'm doing power dialing. Okay.
Yeah. This is solid metrics. So I mean, the big takeaway here is just like even for me, learning wise, like priming your phone, just like how you prime your emails, basically.
Warm up.
Any outbound marketing, yep. Even probably your phone texting too as well. Do you do that too as well? Do you send out text messages to well known, not well known, but you're within your contact list, and then you just basically text back and forth for a little
No,
bit?
for cold texting, it's more of like ramping up. So you
Okay.
don't want to. Oh, you Salesforce, bro? Damn, you rich. Okay, he's rich. But for texting, it's like you don't want to send 500 text messages the first day.
Of
Like you want
course,
to
yeah,
send
yeah.
like 10, you want to send 20, you want to send 30, 40, 50, and you ramp up. Also, you need a way, like if you're pulling raw data, like most people are, you got to be very careful because if you are texting just a handful of people, that's okay. But we text 1,500, 1,600 different people every month. So, and then that's like six, seven text messages per person. So we're sending like 10K text messages a month. So for
Yeah.
us, if you don't have a way to screen that data, and what I mean by that, so you have mobile phone numbers that can take text messages, or you have landline numbers. If you
Yep,
are texting
exactly.
1,000 landline numbers, your
You're just so screwed.
deliverability rate drops significantly and you get flagged,
Yep.
right? So when we put our data in, we include landlines because obviously we want to cold call landlines, but our texting automations screen our data to show that okay, this is a landline phone number. It will pull that phone number out of the text automation, so you can still cold call your sellers, but you also want to keep that text message hygiene very well, right? You want to keep that deliverability rate as high as possible. There's also like hygiene rules in terms of like not texting spam stuff like hey, I'll give you a quick fast offer. Like the
Yeah,
carriers have
yeah.
caught on, right? They know when you're trying to pitch someone something or not, and it actually gets flagged by the carrier. So I'll give it a real life example, I suppose. So T-Mobile has banned one of our guys' phone number. So David, if you're watching this, I'm using you as a real life example. So David, I noticed. Well, he noticed first, and I kind of tested with this CRM, and I texted like a random word, like "Oh, great," and that got banned. Like it got like flagged for violation. So I called the Go High Level agency, and they actually did research that all three numbers I texted were T-Mobile. So we figured out that
Oh,
T-Mobile specifically has banned his phone number from text messaging.
that's crazy.
So for him, he now knows because he's tracking all that stuff that he needs to text with a different phone number now to T-Mobile providers. So it's very crazy when you start diving super deep into your metrics. Um, but ultimately, like metrics also help you make decisions. So I know a girl that used a SMS automation like company, right? So she hired a professional company to manage her text messaging, and she was doing a ton of deals. She was doing a couple deals a month just off her text message campaigns done by them. After a full year, so she's never done the metrics. She's never tracked anything. She took all of her data from the whole year, how much money she was spending, and how much money she made. She ended up breaking even. A
Oh yeah,
whole
I
year
remember.
of
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
So she paid a professional company to do her text messaging, and then when she did all the math, she realized that she broke even. So can you imagine working for an entire year
And not making anything.
and make $0,
It is.
right?
That's how it goes sometimes in this business, man.
That's how it goes, right? So if you are
Yeah.
not tracking your stuff, you need to track it because she would have known like 4 months in, like, yo, I'm like negative right now using
Yeah.
this. But she kept thinking like, oh, I'm doing deals, I'm making money. But when she did all the math, she wasn't making any money. So start tracking your stuff early and often, right?
But that kind of goes to show you, like, there is so much to business. Business is like a contact sport, what like a lot of people say. I mean, you're gonna get roughed up if you don't track your metrics, if you don't like do the things that you need to do in order for you to basically win. And it's constant, it's consistent. I mean, you can see how businesses go out of businesses because the level of due diligence that you need to have to be able to grow your business quickly and profitably is a tremendous amount of work. And it changes every single year, every single quarter potentially. And
Dude.
every single month, honestly.
I
Yeah, you
mean,
never know.
marketing is cyclical, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
is.
people there's spews of time in the wholesale world where direct mail is king, right? Or when the TCPA violations like became, irrelevant when that lawsuit case came out. You know how many cold call
Yeah.
companies appeared out of nowhere? All these call centers because they're seeing that investors are looking to change their marketing strategy, so these companies come out. And I'll tell you guys right now that if a new trend is coming out, right, if a new guru is telling you to do XYZ, inbound, PPC, Facebook Marketplace, whatever it is, it's already outdated. We've already pillaged that marketing channel, we've made our money, and now everyone's caught on, and then a shitty product comes out usually after that. So be wary when you look at a new marketing strategy. You want to focus on 1 to 2 channels and learn the KPIs, learn the metrics of that one marketing channel, and get super deadly at it, right? You're
Yeah.
not going to be proficient at 6 different marketing channels if you're a brand new wholesaler or brand new market or brand new business owner because there's just too many things to track. So
Yep.
if you want to be really good at something, you can pick whatever marketing channel you want and make a ton of money off it. You can make cold calling a thing, you can make text messaging a thing, you can make cold email a thing, you can make PPC work as well. It's just PPC comes with a different risk. Like you're spending a lot more upfront, and if you have a slow cash conversion month where you don't get the money back in time, you're now underwater. So that's why we don't really preach that type of strategy when you're first starting out because it's so risky, right? So stick with the lower cost entry fee type models like cold calling, text messaging, emails, whatever it is, and start tracking your stuff meticulously, right? So you understand because how many of us, I mean, Phil and I do it too, right? Like we sometimes make decisions off emotion. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
feel, I feel like this is a good idea, right, Phil?
Yeah, all the time, bro.
Hey,
All
like
the time.
dude, I'm telling you, this is the strategy, bro. Like we got to do this. I feel like it's great. But if you're tracking data, you can make decisions off fact, right? What do the Asian people say? Math don't lie, right? The Chinese people say it all the time. And because I'm tracking that stuff on my dialer, like, okay, cool, like 37% connection rate is great in a cold call space. Like you want to try to aim for that 20% connection rate. And then so now I know if my spam count is lower, I know my phone numbers are not getting put into spam. So that
Yeah.
that gives that gives my acquisition managers the best chance to get a deal because I'm not going to spam, right?
I've also heard that from different wholesalers in the Richmond area that I'm at right now that they try to shoot for a 4 to 1 return on investment. So, for example, if you're spending, $1,000 on an advertising channel, whatever it is, it could be mailers, it could be running ads, it could be buying leads or whatever, and you get a 4x return. So every $1,000 you spend, you get $4,000 back. Then that is a good rate of return for your money, and you keep that channel growing, and you start scaling that. And once you get to a comfortability that you feel like this is on autopilot, then you can start moving on to the next channel and then test that to see if you get 4 to 1 on your money as well. Are you finding the same kind of return on investment for you, Tim? Kind of strategy?
It depends on the marketing channel. So some
Yeah.
marketing channels like do a lot better for us. Like obviously cold calling is probably the best. And if you're
Right.
doing outbound marketing, so that's your cold call, text message, email. Return of investment wise, emails is king. And the reason why ROI is so high is because, to send an email, it's like 0.00007 an email. So,
Yeah.
after you send, I think I did a post about it. After I sent 800 emails, it was only $1 of marketing spend. So for
Yeah.
me, $1, you know, to make a 10K deal, like the ROI is like
Yeah.
out of
It's stupid.
control, right?
Yeah.
But do I get a shit ton of deals from there? No. But if I'm doing a deal a month, that's 100 grand of profit for pennies on the dollar compared to running a PPC campaign, right?
Yep.
Cold calling, when you're doing cold calling, you have to count your data, you have to count skip tracing, and you have to count your dialer fee, right? So all that stuff goes into it. It's not 100% for free.
I would
So
also throw in employment fleet, or actually,
Oh,
oh,
oh
you know what I'm
yeah. If
saying?
you have
Time,
acquisition,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
100%. So you want to count
Yeah.
all that stuff into your cost because, you know, let's say like you're not doing it yourself, right? So
Right.
assume that you're not doing it yourself and you have a VA, right? Let's say you started off with a VA, you don't have a salary employee. Your
Mm-hmm.
VA costs you money per month. So
Exactly.
you have to add that with your costs and then how many deals you're doing, and that will give you your return on investment. You
Yep.
can't just count like the data, right? Because your numbers don't make sense. Like you won't be able to track that. So that will also tell you like how good your data is too. Like if you're calling 10,000 records and you're only doing X amount of deals, it could be a data problem where you're not calling the
Yep.
right data, or you have a really bad sales process and you don't know how to close, right?
100%, dude.
But you won't know if you're not tracking your sales KPIs.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a good. That's good. Like what you explained and what you kind of showed with your business is actually really helpful. Just to get like a regular newbie to see like, oh, this is the level of detail that I have to kind of be aware of, right? Because if I just start over, I'd be like, yo, this is kind of fucking crazy. Like this is a lot of tracking. Like there's a lot of work that I got to do, and to have that level of clarity and also transparency is like I think it's also really cool in a sense of like, oh, all right, maybe I'm not doing that right now, but I know what I need to do when I get there. So, yeah, I think
Yeah,
solid.
and guys, like this is just awareness, I suppose, right? Like
Yeah.
obviously if you're just starting out, there are very simple KPIs to track. Like, okay, you got your dials, you got your pickups, you got your offers, right? You can be very simple when you first start, but as you guys gain more experience or you start making money, now you have to track like, okay, I'm spending $1,000 here. What am I getting back from there?
Mm-hmm.
And then and this is why I told you like, hey, stick to a few marketing channels because you cannot get proficient on all of them overnight. Like
Yeah.
you're going to build your cold call metrics based off what your business is doing. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like, and you don't have to use my KPIs. You can use other people's KPIs. And I have a free marketing guide as well that I can give you guys. Just, shoot me a message, whatever. And I'll give you the marketing guide that we have. And it breaks down the KPIs that I use in my business. But at the end of the day, my KPIs don't have to match yours. Like you may want to track other things. Like maybe you want to track, how many FUs you get, right? That
Yeah.
that's a metric to track, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of different things you could do, but it's flexible. But the more experience you have, the better vision you have in terms of what you want to track.
Yeah, and I'll also add like you can track everything underneath the sun. You can start adding all these crazy shit to your KPIs, but at the end of the day, you gotta ask yourself: does this particular KPI move the needle to for me to make a decision about my business? And if that does not do it for you, then that's something that you should not track, because that doesn't make sense in a day to spend your time, your employees' time, whoever's time to track that, if it if it doesn't work out for you, right? So yeah, just be aware that you can make your own KPIs if you want. Not a big deal.
Okay. What else? Dude, there's so many things to talk about in terms of KPIs, but
Yeah.
our one buddy Sam did a killer KPIs back in the day. Kind of
Mm.
made me realize how fucking shitty I was as an operator. But like that's the thing too is like if you feel like you're not doing enough, you're probably not doing enough, right? And that's like a Hermosi thing, right? But it's
Yeah, yeah.
there's so many things that you can improve on, but it doesn't have to be all at once. As long as okay, I watch this podcast and I realize I'm not tracking anything. So why don't you track, how many calls you made and how many pickups you've had, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a great start. And then based off that number, what's that percentage of conversations? If you are having like a 1% conversation rate, there's something wrong with your data. Or you don't have enough dials that you've done to kind of get a good snapshot of like what you're doing.
Yeah. 100%. Cool. What?
What SMS KPIs would you recommend? Off the top of my head, how many you've sent? What is your deliverability rate? So if you send 100 text messages and 20 don't get delivered, Is it because you're texting landlines? Is it because you're texting spammy words? Like, you know what I mean? Like deliverability rate, super important. How many people are responding? So you want a response rate as well to show what type of copy you have. Is it personalized enough? The smaller the list that you call or text, right? So if you're texting 10,000 phone numbers, doesn't matter. If you're texting 30,000 phone numbers, it doesn't matter what you say. It's just sheer volume. If you're only texting a handful of people, like let's say you're texting under 1,500 messages a month, you want it to be very personal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to maximize your response rate. So that's a copy thing. So amount of text messages, amount of delivered, amount of responses, and then how many people are positively responding. So those are like the four big ones. Because if they're positively responding, you want to get them on a call, right? That's like the number one thing. Like we're texting you, emailing you to get on a sales call. And then another really important one, this is a more advanced tactic for you to track, but this is a very big, important one where if you have someone responding to you in a positive manner, did you text them back within a 5 minute window? So when it's like a response back, you want to have that golden window of 5 minutes to get them booked on a call. Because if someone texted you, right? So if I'm texting you back, I'm physically on my phone. And if I text you back in 45 seconds to book a call, what do you think the chances are of me booking that call? Way higher. If you
Mm-hmm.
waited 30 minutes and I texted you 30 minutes later, you text me back, I may be out with my family or I may be on another call with another investor. Because remember, these people you're calling or texting are probably getting text messages from 60 other people. So if you don't message them back within that 5 minute golden window, they could be talking to someone else already. And you just lost the lead because you're too slow. And that's why we use AI, right? I'm not on my phone all day, so like if someone
Yeah,
texts me
yeah.
back, my AI will take over and try to book a call
Or set an appointment. Yeah.
or
One of the
set an
two.
appointment.
Yeah, yeah. Good question though, Brian.
Yeah, good question, dude. What else? Is there any other question before we hop off? I know we showed up a little late, but I wanted to pack in some action. You know, I wanted to pack in some action in this 30 minute pod.
Yo, I think that's about it, man.
Cool.
Nobody.
All right. Any closing remarks, big dog?
Next week will be fun. I have an idea what we should talk about.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
it has something to do with commercial real estate, guys. So
Oh,
you guys should stick around for that. Mark your calendars for next Tuesday at
let's
6
go.
p.m. All right, you
Cool.
guys all know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment below, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.